Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now let the stories begin. Hi, everybody, and I am so excited to welcome you to Celebration of You with another extraordinary guest. And there's always a story in how I meet these incredible people from all over the world. And you know, for everybody listening, I just like to start by saying thank you. Thank you for the listeners all over the world in so many different countries and all different ages and genders and races and different languages. And that's what means the world, that at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And the stories you hear that I feel so honored and privileged to get to share with you and celebrate extraordinary people, you get inspired. And get ready, because today's guest, and we'll talk about how we met here in just a moment, I am beyond excited because when I get to show up to an event, and then I get to be open to whoever God wants me to meet. And you know, I've always shared I have a strong faith, very spiritual, and I use the word serendipity. Across the room at this event I'm getting ready to speak at, I see this woman who's just beaming with sunshine. There's like a glow. I'm getting goosies. I haven't even introduced her yet to you all, and I'm getting goosies because there's this glow, this aura of light around her. And you know, you just connect with somebody across a room and we're smiling. Boy, if you didn't know better, you'd think we were falling in love, and that's not what's happening here. I just want you all to know that this incredible woman, I just spotted her and she's got this glow. Then I got to know her. And now she's on the show. Lord and world, and to everyone, may I please have the honor and privilege of welcoming Laurel Rutledge. Hi, Laurel.
Hi, thank you so much. It was so hard to be quiet. I kept wanting to say amen.
Because that's what we did for 3 days.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and you know, why I'm so excited to have you, my friend, is not only were you this new soul sister in my life, you are this, and this is what I want everybody to know. I knew nothing about Laurel before I showed up to this event. The Laurel that I have gotten to know, and the Laurel I met that day, and then I realized who you are and what you've done in this world. And yeah, you've held some serious leadership positions, and that's why I want to have you on the show today, because you've lived, let's face it, we all know that living as a high-level, pretty much C-suite person in HR, that automatically makes people go, oh, do you have a personality? Right?
Yes.
Yes. And you've done so many extraordinary things in the corporate arena. Laurel has stepped out in faith and now doing her own gig and having her own business. So there's so much here I want to talk about. But Laurel, let's start with, my love, tell us what you're doing right now. Tell us, you know, your passions, and give us a little bit of that, the current world for Laurel.
Sure. I am so excited. And thank you so much for having me on, Holly. This is just absolutely amazing. I am really moving into serving people, and I'm doing that in a couple of ways. So the big way that I'm doing that is really helping people transform their career through personal consulting. And what I mean by that is, from my perspective, it's all about perspective. You are not crazy. When it doesn't feel right, when it doesn't fit, there is probably something going on. And how can we work together to help you understand first who you are and what makes you you and what drives you, what fills you up? And then, where are you right now? What do you want? And then how do we connect those two to get where you want to be? So that's the number one thing that I'm doing. Is I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt when I made the decision to leave corporate. You are not crazy.
And I love that. You are not crazy, although you think you are.
Exactly. You can feel absolutely nuts, and it is not you. There are just some environments that are, granted, toxic, but there are also some that just aren't a fit. And so let's talk about that in a context of just honesty and integrity and owning who you are. And then the last thing I'm doing, which actually came about, like you said, serendipity, is, you know, I was in this HR space for a very long time. and now getting connected to so many entrepreneurs, very, very small business owners. And I kept hearing these questions about, oh my gosh, I don't know how to hire this person, or I hired the wrong person, or what policies and all of these things. I'm like, that's like HR 101. So maybe I can find a way to serve these people by putting something out there that is really simple, easy. They won't stay with me forever. But gives them something that helps to mitigate the risk, at least initially. So those small businesses, 1 to 25 people, a place where you can go and just grab some information, grab some templates, hopefully cause yourself a little less pain so you can focus on running your business. So those are the things that I'm doing, and I'm really excited, and I'm tired, Holly. I'm tired.
I'm tired. Wait, Laurel. Wait, I love you for saying that. You're like, and the big reason I left, I'm just tired. I'm worn out. Yep. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I love that you just owned that. And in the transparency of the person I've grown to just adore you for is that, you can now it's kind of like waking up one day and going, I'm tired. What's next? And as you said, right, we all live in that fear of do I have the faith to step out in fear? Right. And what would happen? You chose to do it, and you chose to take your world of expertise, and what you can do is bring that to other people that don't know what you know and comes so naturally, right?
Right.
It's awesome. That. Well, I love that you did that, because I think for the listeners, we take, and I know you're going to be smiling and laugh at this because you heard me talk about this on stage, but we take a lot for granted that comes so natural to us. And we also tend to forget that it's never too late to dream again. And with a dream comes a vision, and with dreams and visions, you can create goals and you can begin to make a plan. So tell us, I want to hear what it took. How long did it take you? Let's get to the nuts and bolts. And then, when you made a decision to leave the corporate world and then to start this, tell us that process for you. How long did it take? What were the steps you put in place for your personal journey in doing this?
Sure. Well, I am a big believer in divine intervention. I truly am. I know that there's a purpose and a plan that's greater than me. I also know, while I am a woman of faith, God's got to burn a bush for me. I do not read signs. I need flames and smoke. We talked about that at Brilliant. I don't read signs. And what happened is I was getting so exhausted and so tired, and I just couldn't reconcile it because I'm wired to just work, right? Type A, insecure overachiever. Just work harder and they'll get it. Just work harder and they'll get it. And finally, over a Christmas holiday, I thought, this is just insane. I'm not able to spend the kind of time I want with my family in quality. I'm not able to spend time with my friends, and I'm just exhausted and unhappy. And so I made the decision to say, Laurel, there are so many things that have happened that have been little God winks that said, it is time for you to go. When I knew I needed to leave Ohio, something happened where I was able to actually have my move back to Texas supported. And that was during the middle of the recession, right? And then I needed to find another position because I took some time off intentionally and something came up. So it always happens. So at the end of this process, I thought, Lord, I'm just done. And so I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm not frustrated. I mean, I was all of those things, but I wasn't those things related to this decision. I just knew it was time to be done. And so I said, we just got to make this work. And so I'm going to go where you lead me. And it just so happened that I was able to make the decision to leave, notify my organization that I was leaving. And because of a number of situations, I was able to plan enough and have enough of a strategy that I essentially was able to get funding for what I'm doing because I stayed long enough. I continued to contribute. I was there 110% and it paid off. It was, a retention agreement that paid off for me. And during that time, it gave me a chance to not only really leave a legacy and really understand the difference that I'd made, because I talked to people during that time, and it's hard to see that you actually make a difference sometimes when you're that frustrated. But I was also able to think very clearly about, Laurel, you have been working a very long time. And while you get into a job and you get really excited and, you're thrilled with what you're doing, you tend to get bored pretty quickly. So what's going on? And that boredom really related to something not fitting, right? Like it wasn't that it was not right. It's just that it wasn't exactly right. something just wasn't right. And so during this time, I thought, well, this is the time to figure out what it is that's right. And it really came full circle, Holly. I mean, I went to college and wanted to be, a PhD psychologist or psychiatrist. And my dad was like, honey, I love you so much, but you got to get a job when you get out. Right. And so,
I want you to make money.
Right. I want you to make money because you've got to get off my payroll. Yeah. And so I just did what I was supposed to do. And in doing what we're supposed to do, you call them shouldas, right? What we
shouldn't, right. The shouldn't on ourselves. Yeah.
I should have done that. Right. Yep. And so I did all of the things I was supposed to do and kept really denying the thing that was inherently me, which is the ability to listen, not only to what people say, but what they don't say, to connect dots that people don't often see, but I see for some reason, and to then move that into aha moments for people that they can take action on. And so I just decided to just take the leap. I found Carrie at a different event and ended up taking her initial video thing, which was great for me because I hate being on camera. I'm getting better, but I hate being on camera. It's a visibility issue, right? We all got drama.
We all have it.
And that's fine. And so I started doing that. And then I got invested in her team and understood my type A, right? I need a website. I need my LLC. I mean, all of these things on my list. And I just started with a plan and just started moving. And the hardest part, in all honesty, has been patience, because my expectation was I leave the organization at the end of December. By March, my business is up and running and we're moving. Okay, well, that's just not real. That is just
but it wasn't your real world. That's how fast it's going to happen. Yep.
Exactly. And so that's really what drove me, and what my steps were to the decision was an inherent burning in my gut that says it is time to leave, and whatever happens is going to happen. And I was ready to just walk away, truly. And that's what I told the organization. My heart was, I am leaving. I'm going to give you a long transition time because that's just the right thing to do. I'm not going to come in and say, I'm gone tomorrow. That's just not right. And that's my karma, right? That's not the way I'm wired. And so because of that, and because of reputation, because of timing, all of those kind of things, it worked out to be supportive of what I needed to do. And then I just started digging in and saying, if this is it, you spend all that energy and all that effort working for somebody else and making money for somebody else.
Yeah.
You need to do that for making a difference, because if you are serving people, I truly believe if you are in service, prosperity comes. I believe that.
Absolutely.
It may not come when you want it, but it comes.
It always comes in the perfect divine timing. That may be, and see, same exact personality that we both are. It's that I always say it's the let go and let God, right? Yes. We let go and let it get in the flow. And part of this journey has been for you letting go of the control and making it happen on Laurel's time and realizing it's going to happen on God's time. Right?
Absolutely. And letting go of that whole stigma of, oh my gosh, but you're a senior executive. Oh my gosh, this is such a big job. Oh my gosh, all of those things that are valuable and valued, right? Externally, because you're this or you're that, or you're, one of very few senior level African-American women in this huge chemical company. What do you mean you're leaving? Are you kidding me?
It's like, are you crazy? That's when you started thinking you were crazy, right?
I started thinking I was crazy. And you internalize that stuff and you start attaching your value to titles and to positions and to companies. And while those things are really nice indicators of achievement, it's a job, not life, right?
Oh, yes, my love. I love the way you just said that. I hope nobody missed that one. And that was huge for you to make this choice. And there's something you just said too, Laura, I don't want anybody to miss. And at the very beginning of sharing this part of your story, you said, I truly believe in the divine, right? You knew the divine plan. And it's something that's very important to me. And that's why I don't want people to miss out. You could have spent the rest of your life letting your life be dictated by the world. But when you chose to make this decision, you trusted the greatest power above. You trusted God. And as I like to say, you really were listening to your soul's highest calling. And you still are, right? Because you know it's about serving others. And if you look at today's world, how many, the percentage, you probably know the stats better than I, but the percentage of people starting businesses is higher than ever. Women own businesses at an all-time high. So there's so many people out there that need your service because we need somebody to help us. And I think I mentioned when I met you, I've got to introduce you to my son who's now running an entire division for a company called Bambi, right? Like this amazing company that's doing this. They need to meet you. You guys need to align. I just think I love your story because there's a lot of people that we have achieved in the world's eyes that I love the way you articulated it, what is valued, right? The status of having this great senior VP, role. And yet you were in tune with your spirit enough to know something's missing.
Right.
And there's more.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh. Well, and to not miss this too, we have to say, because I was just thrilled that Carrie asked me to come speak for her event, and the Carrie that Laurel just mentioned, the beautiful and amazing Carrie Murphy, you were just so in awe of her, and we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for her. So right. I have to give her a shout out right now, right?
Woo-woo.
Yes. Will you take us to? So I'm always intrigued about the real story behind Laurel. So take us back to maybe you was very young Laurel, maybe grade school, middle school, high school, college, whatever. But I'm always fascinated with guests on the show. Tell us about a time in your life when you go back that was pivotal. Maybe it was an adverse situation you overcame that really impacted how you've chosen to live your life. Maybe it wasn't a huge, but it was pivotal. I always like to hear about pivotal moments in our life that at the time we may not have realized the impact it had on us. So what's that for you, my friend?
Wow. Pick one.
Wait, I must spit my water out when you say that.
I will pick one. And there are very few people who know this. The people who know this are very close to me. But again, Holly, you and I are so connected. And I think if this story helps someone else, then, it's valuable. And so when I went to college the first time, I went to a very prestigious university. You have to get invited to apply, blah, 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 right? And I was so excited because I was at the top of my class. I couldn't wait to get there. And I got there and met my faculty advisor. And the first thing my faculty advisor asked me was, what sport do I play? And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm 5'4", and I'm not 110, right? So none. I'm here for academics, right? And so it was a situation where, we got followed home from parties, being asked by campus police while we were there. I mean, it was a very interesting time. Now, I grew up in West Texas, which was not the most diverse place, but I grew up with parents who were very, very, they had diverse thoughts. They made sure that we had diverse experiences. That's just the way we were brought up. And so while I also had parents who were very clear about, you got to be careful, you really need to understand how hard you need to work. We had all those conversations you hear about, right? But they were also very much just work. And if you have a good name, even when you have nothing, you have everything. That's how we were raised. And so I get into this situation and I'm thinking, what is going on? And so it wound up, long story short, it wound up being just horrible for me. I ended up leaving there. Grades just horrendous. Ended up leaving there, had the biggest chip on my shoulder. I went to a different university planning to go for a semester. And then I was out of there. I was going back to where I was supposed to be. Met this professor, a business law professor, who looked at me with my attitude and my chip on my shoulder because I was just too dang good to be at this other, cut rate university. And it turned my life around. I ended up staying there, finishing up basically a 4-year degree in 2.5 years because I was trying to get out and start working. And by meeting this woman, her name is Dr. Gail Evans, she saw in me something I didn't even see in myself. It was where I got introduced to process thinking. It was where I got introduced to some friends of mine, two people who we actually still meet at least once a month and have lunch. This many years later, after graduating from college, we all three of us have lost our fathers. So we get our mothers together for Mother's Day, that kind of thing. And for me, it was pivotal from a few standpoints. One, it really made me humble and made me get out of my feelings because clearly this university was where I was supposed to be, not the one that I thought I was supposed to be going to, right? This was where I was supposed to be, at this university with these caring people who saw something in me and pumped me up, but also kept me real. The second thing was, I do have the energy and drive and ability to do whatever I set my mind to. I mean, a 4-year degree in 2.5 years, that was just
unbelievable.
Insane.
That is insane, dear.
And I couldn't even tell you how I did it. I just knew I had to do it. And then the third thing it did for me was really say, you know what? Now that you've been through this, you can really tackle and handle anything. I don't know that I knew that consciously, but that got into my DNA, and it paid off because, oil and gas, when I got out of school, early 90s, they hired 4 of us new, laid all 4 of us off in 3 months, right? So I'm
Wow.
like, first off. But then I got the next job. I ended up going to graduate school, finished my degree in Barcelona. Don't know how I did that either, because 3 of my 4 classes were in Spanish, and I didn't speak Spanish till I got there, right?
Girlfriend, this is amazing.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
But that one moment that was so devastating to me personally, because I was embarrassed. I felt like a failure. It was just horrible because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I wasn't where I was supposed to be, at least in my mind, and what externally had told me was right, actually turned out to be the thing that turned it around for me. The people I met, the professors I met, the things that I did, the speaking that I did, it was incredible. And again, God knew better than me, and he knew I needed to have some pain to get it. Mm-hmm. And I still have problems. Every once in a while, he's still got to say, remember that I'm God. Be still and know that I'm God, right?
Yes.
You don't have this, I do, right? And so every once in a while, I still need to learn that lesson. But that, for me, when I really look back on it, and there are a few others that have been really milestone moments, but that, I think, was one of the earliest ones that really disrupted my thinking. It disrupted my plan. It disrupted my trajectory and put me on one that I never, Holly, never could have planned. It's a speech I've given a number of times when I talk about my journey from there to here. I never could have planned what I've done. Never.
It's just not like you set out to do this. And I love that you took that experience and, to use the words, it humbled me. It was, as we've used the words, right? Everybody goes, oh, the challenges. No, challenges in our life are opportunities and gifts. They just have to be unwrapped. And you were given one of the greatest life-changing opportunities, and you embraced it. And Laurel, I love it because I'm sitting here with Goosies going, you graduated how fast? And then you went to Barcelona and you took classes in Spanish and you didn't even speak Spanish before you got there. I'm like cracking up as I'm listening to you. And yet it's no wonder you're this spectacular, extraordinary person today. And you're so about serving others. So that humility, and I'm going to say you are an epitome of grace too, my friend.
Thank you.
That is what God bestowed upon you back then. And it's funny, I have to ask you this because it's so now burning. By the way, I have to say this to everybody because when Laurel and I met, and that was another magical moment because she was like, I just say, I need a burning bush to God. And I think I was still on stage because I was saying something and you went, amen, sister. Yes. And I died laughing because I said, I always used to say, God, don't give me Post-it notes, give me billboards. Right?
Yes.
And then you were like, I need a burning bush. And so I want people to realize that everybody gets their signs if you're willing to pause long enough and see them, right? Because some of us need them kind of bigger and a little bit more abrupt. What I'd love to ask you is thinking about so fresh, just revisiting that time in your life. One of the things I love to find out, and it's so apropos for you, when I ask you to think about that young 20-year-old self, right? That young woman that during that time in your life, what advice would you give her now based on who you've become and your life experiences today? What advice would you give your younger self?
Wow, Holly, that is a great question. Top of mind, it's the advice you hear a lot, which is be patient. It's going to be okay. You'll be all right. You've got this. And all of that is true. I think the bigger piece of advice that I would give myself is truly to be still and to trust. And yes, keep moving, keep the momentum going, because if you stop, it's like if we stop learning, we're dying, right? That's my philosophy. If you stop learning, you're dying, and you learn from everything. And so to keep moving, but don't let the momentum and the inertia of just keeping moving move from movement to running away. And there is a difference. As long as if you want to run, fine, but run towards something. Don't keep running away from something. And I think for a long time, again, I was saying earlier, something just didn't feel right. It never felt truly deeply connected, the things that I was doing. And so I always said yes. That's why I went so many different places. Somebody said, why don't you go do this? Okay, well, I'll go. Why not? Right. And so what I realized, and I wish I could have told myself this when I was younger, is yes, I was moving away from the pain because where I was just didn't feel right. But if I examine it deeper and really think about what I learned when I then sat in that new moment, I was really continuing to move towards where I was really supposed to be. I would not be able to do what I'm doing now had I not had every single experience, every job, every boss, every location where I had to start over and not know anybody, all of those things, learn my way around cities. I would not be where I am today had I not been able to embrace that and do those things. And I wish I had known at that time to not just do it just because somebody asked me and, learn along the way, but to be so much more intentional in the learning. Because while I learned a lot, I am certain there are things that I missed simply because I wasn't present. I was just moving because moving felt better than staying.
The things that I got to tell you, girlfriend, the things that fall out of your mouth. I am literally covered in goosies, sitting here smiling with my eyes closed. And I'm like, there were so many golden nuggets of wisdom that just beautifully came out right now. And I hope people grabbed them because, there was a moment right then when you started saying it was not about running away from things, run to something. And I think it's easy in life to feel, and it's okay to leave something that's toxic or not right.
Absolutely.
It's just don't wallow in it. As you know, like it's not about woe is me, it's wow is me. And don't wallow in it. Figure out where you're going to move to. And, I think that's a very powerful, profound moment that I don't want people to miss, because we're not saying stay stuck in the miserable situations or relationships or toxic environments. It's good to move and move out of it, but move to something, keep growing. And the fact that you can look back on that time and you just continue to say so many things that you're so grateful for that, because that's been so powerful in who you've become today. Oh, that was powerful. Oh, there's just golden nuggets. So before we wrap up, two things I have to say to you. When are you going to start your podcast?
Well, actually, that is such a great question. So the Rutledge Perspective is up on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Okay. And there actually are episodes out there. I am beginning this month to add some new episodes. So I'm kind of back on track now that I got this other thing in launch mode. So I'm back on track doing that. And I love it. I love podcasting. And that's why I was so excited to be on your podcast. I'm like, I get to learn from a master. This is awesome.
You are adorable. Well, the day we met too, I was like, you have to have a podcast. And by the way, and I don't say this to everybody, you just let me know when. I would love to be a guest on your show.
Yay! Oh, Holly, thank you. Yes, done. I will be sending a note.
Okay. Send it right now, baby, because that's how this world works, right? It's how do we support and serve everyone, the world. And I mean, I don't even know, Laurel, that that this show started as a total nudge from above. Like I get to meet amazing people all over the world. And Laurel, people would stand there and share their stories with me, some in tears. And I'm thinking, you know what? This is not about just highlighting and celebrating the people on the cover of magazines. This is about celebrating real life people that have I look at it as have either overcome immense adversity and have pushed through and living an extraordinary life, and or choosing to make choices in life that choose to make them be extraordinary as they serve the world. So, I am such a proponent of finding that calling, and then you having your show, and I will do anything to support you. I love that.
That's what makes you amazing, Holly. You're just amazing.
Well, now, darling, remember the show's called Celebration of You. We're so bad.
We're cracking up.
Well, from the moment we met, and it was an amen out there, and we just cracked ourselves up. And would you do me a favor? Because I know there's going to be people that are going to want to reach out to you. Can you share with the listeners how best to get in touch with you? What serves best for you?
Sure. So the easiest way to get in touch with me is to send an email to welcome@laurelrutledge.com. And that comes directly to me. So I'd love to hear from you. Definitely go listen to my podcast. I'd love your input as well, because I'm doing things in the podcast that really talk about what we've talked about here today. That you're not crazy, that knowing who's on your team and who's not on your team, right? And having your village and all of those little things just to survive kind of that career trajectory, whether that's nonprofit, for-profit, whatever it is, whatever you're doing. So I'd love to have that, but it's really that welcome@laurelrutledge.com is the easiest way to get me. And my website is up, laurelrutledge.com.
Love
I
it.
love it because it's all colorful. So
I love
represents
it.
me.
I love it. And the Rutledge perspective. I love that name.
Yes.
It's powerful. It's cool.
Yes.
Ooh, I
Because
love
it's
it.
all about perspective. Change your perspective, change your attitude.
Okay, girlfriend, can I just tell you that's like another huge thing in my life. And so I will, and you know what? I'm all about opening up too, be an open book, because that took a long time for me to realize how important it is when we're willing to share and reveal.
Absolutely.
We heal more, but we help others heal. And hearing your story and knowing you're not crazy and you can step out and go after that dream and you can make it happen, and just make sure you're aligning all the right resources and the people that God's pulling into your life, right?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well,
Yes. I have my Hollyisms, several of them from Brilliant. I have them in my journal. I look at them every day.
You're getting a book, by the way, because you will be at the Elite Retreat. And yes, you are coming. And that's a very, very special annual event. And you have been invited. And so for everybody listening, I don't want you to feel bad if you weren't invited. I just want to. It's a very special annual occasion. And so if you're interested in knowing more, feel free to reach out to my team at Carrie@hollydowling.com. But I want Laurel to know that you are spectacular. You are extraordinary, and you are a gift to this world. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me today. I adore you. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, can't wait to see you again. Yay! Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.